This is the last yard of pulling honey. Last yard to get treatments. After this yard, everything will have their treatments on, and tomorrow we'll come through, strip these boxes off. So I have 200 colonies sitting around buckwheat. Been dragging my feet to pull. I've left them one box on top, just trying to keep the buckwheat honey out of this brood nest. But I'm getting to the point. That's a heavy box, eh?
Yep, it's heavy.
Getting to the point where I have to get these treatments on, and I have to, get on with things, because the queen actually is already starting to give up space, and they're starting to backfill this nest. Even though I'm trying to put all the buckwheat honey up, she's giving up space, and they're starting to store the buckwheat honey down below. So I'm going to follow up with syrup right away to try to stop that. There's still a buckwheat flow going on. I'm probably going to see the consequence of this. But we're pulling off, there's probably, I don't know, it's back and forth. One box will have 10 pounds, the other box will be chocked full like that one, about 40 pounds of honey, and it looks nice and dark. Would you be able to pull one of these frames up, Lori?
Yep.
So we pulled this honey earlier, and there was buckwheat flowering, but there was alfalfa and canola and clover and everything. And then when we put this box back, pretty much all the canola was done. So when we put these boxes back, is pretty much just the buckwheat, which will make this real nice dark honey. I'm hoping. Alfalfa's been cut, canola's done blooming. Ooh, look at that. Oh, and it smells terrible. But I have guys asking for this. Look at that. Want to taste that? Put some on the hot tool. Taste it through your screen. Different, eh?
Yeah, it's something.
It's something, that's for sure. The old saying, where did the bear shit in the buckwheat field? So it's gonna feel good to, well, that foamy's garbage. Oh well. Let's make sure that corner to corner so we don't get any robbing. It's gonna feel good to get all these boxes stripped off and into the honey house, and with all the colonies with treatments and yards, all the yards will be with feed. This happens to be one of the formic acid treatment yards, and I've noticed through this yard so far and through the other formic acid yards I treated, I only did 200 colonies, that the formic acid yards seem to be more consistent with good quality nest going into winter here, into fall, building a nice little winter nest. Having a little bit of issue with other yards with a little bit higher summer casualties. I'm looking at maybe 20% loss, queenless colonies, which is a little bit higher than I'm typically used to. I think I'm accounting most of that is to probably summertime swarming. The colonies going into summer a little bit too big, maybe with a bit of an older queen, and just not requeening through the summer period for whatever reason. It tends to happen. A heavy swarm year, you tend to get more summer casualty. And why don't they requeen? Well, it's probably the reason why I don't mate queens through the summer, is there's so many predators or issues with these queens, and it just becomes casualty. We work these colonies pretty hard. Once we put them in, we just kind of let go of the reins, and they bring us massive honey crop. But at the same time, there's a lot of dynamics going on down within this nest, and sometimes things don't match up. So this year, I'm looking at about a 20% loss. But this yard and my other formic yards, they seem to be running more around that 10, maybe 5%. The reason for that may be because the formic set them back and they went into the flow a little bit smaller. It cost me a box of honey right off the start. Maybe they caught up later on, I don't know. but maybe going in a little bit smaller like that, or maybe the range were pulled back a little bit more. They didn't go through that swarming pressure right off the mark as maybe some of my other colonies did. Another reason maybe is through my treatment I complained a lot about losing queens, and I lost anywhere between 10 to 30% of my queens in the yards. This yard took I think it was a 15% loss, and maybe I took my queen loss before the flow instead of after the flow here. So before the flow I can address the issue, and how I did that is I brought nukes in, dropped them into the spots, fresh nukes, and they performed masterfully. So there is something to be said about that. These nests, they look pretty good. Could you pull a frame up here? Oh, you already treated this. Let's pull it up anyways. We're just going through with patties and some dust and apivar. Yeah, you can use your, let's pull that white one there. Looks easy to pull up. These nests are giving up their space already, but look at the masterful little nest she's making for us. Beautiful. Problem is that all that space that she's giving up is being backfilled by buckwheat, so I got to get these boxes off. Not only my treatments in, but I have to get syrup in to be able to fill up that space she's giving up so that they don't fill it up with buckwheat on me. Little buggers. Can you turn around? I want to see the other side. So all the brood we're seeing now and all the brood that's being reared right now are little winter bees. They're just pulling around the outside, and they're pressuring that nest with honey coming in. That's good. We won't bother them anymore. Can you turn it back around just so they're organized the way they were? So that is very good. As long as that buckwheat honey doesn't screw them up, they should winter very well with a nice young little nest like that. Typically for me this time of year, I've run out of pollen resources a long time ago. In fact, I'm typically through a semi-load of syrup already, and just, you know, pushing with these protein patties to extend that brood as far as I can. This year I've been very casual with the patties, just kind of putting it on as we go through, make her work, because there's lots of pollen down there. There's still pollen coming into these nests. And that queen, you know, she's ramping down her laying, but she's still, these bees are still moving, still brooding. And I'm not sure how far that'll go. Now it'll go almost, we'll be touching October now anyway, which isn't so good for mite treatments, but it does spell out a very nice young winter nest. And that's what I'm concentrating on right now. So patties on, strips on, dusting, oxytetracycline, and we're going to be open feeding this yard. Now these boards are in, the honey boxes are removed, so we're going to get some little bit of syrup down there right away and then pails on them as soon as we strip these boxes off tomorrow. Honey crops here, we just got to take it. Money, 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 money. My favorite job. I love scratching. Look at all this money coming in. Get to work.